Hello, welcome to another episode of our live stream. Hello, Tiger. Hello, Abla. My name's Hussein. Happy to have you with me today. God bless you. And yeah, just kind of hello, Marion. And yeah, I just kind of had an idea for a live stream. And just before we get into it, I thought this was kind of an interesting. The media is just falling all over themselves. They're so excited about Zohran Mamdani, the guy that won the Democratic primary for the mayor of New York, and there's a good chance he's gonna win. There's a good chance he's gonna win. When you win the Democratic primary in the highly Democratic New York City, you got good chance of winning. And so, and it seems like people know what he stands for. They know what he said. They know what he believes in, and they still voted for him, which means a lot of people, um, even though this is a primary, and, you know, primaries don't necessarily reflect the general election because there's people who come out for the primary. Let's see how New York City, you know, how um, does primary election in New York City reflect or predict the general election? Okay. Okay. I don't find many stuff about it. I don't find many articles about it that are, but sometimes because in primaries, there's usually a particular group. Not everybody votes in the primary. The primary isn't usually as um, much. Um, uh, Not as many people are involved with primaries as they are with the general election. So, but it's still there's a lot of people, and the media is in love. The media is in love with him, and they feel the joy. It's exactly like Kamala Harris. When Kamala Harris was elected, the media started focusing on joy. And the reason they start focusing on joy, you guys, is because of the cackle. The way she laughed was so hilarious. And because of that, she looked like she was drunk, or, you know, it didn't feel normal. It didn't feel natural. And so the media started building up the joy. You feel the joy. And you saw Tim Walz, little Pillsbury Doughboy, Tim Walz, and his performance, whatever that was that he did. And so that's what they're doing with Mamdani now. The New York Times, communist, atheistic, antichrist newspaper. What did they say about Mamdani's speech? It says a joyful. It was joyful. But Trump's, if it was Trump, it would have been raging, angry, dark. You know? So the media is definitely in bed with Satan, and they very much hate Christians. And so anyway, I'm being a little opinionated, but the media's in love with this guy. Okay, the media's in love with this guy, and they're giving him every benefit of the doubt. And but I was kind of interested. Um, um, I was just interested in this article by Deborah Messing. Now, I don't really, to be honest, I don't watch TV. I haven't watched TV in years. I watch I Love Lucy. That's one of the shows I watch. And maybe What's My Line. I watch stuff from Johnny Carson on YouTube. I watch it on YouTube. I don't even watch, and then I watch like, David Wood and, you know, all the apologetic stuff. But I don't watch TV. And I haven't watched TV for years. I just, it's so uninteresting to me. It's so boring, I think. But there was a program called Will and Grace, and the I, I don't I know that it's about a gay guy and a girl, and you know to be honest, I never watched it, but I heard about it. Well, the star of it, her name was Deborah Messing, and she, like, wow, look what she says about Mamdani. It says Deborah Messing says Zohran Mamdani sides with terrorists. Sides with terrorists. Dang. Actor Deborah Messing wrote an Islamophobic comment on her Instagram in reference to Mamdani, claiming he celebrated 9/11. And this is what Deborah Messing says. I have nothing against socialism. Don't know where you got that. Messing, who is known for her role in Will and Grace, replying to a user who called her out for sharing a reel denouncing socialism. I voted against Mamdani, because he celebrated 9/11. Let that sink in. I love my country. My reasoning is not Islamophobia. I've chosen to live in the most beautifully diverse city in the world. The same people who did 9/11 did October 7th. I just don't want a mayor who sides with terrorists. Oh, and he wants to defund the police, and he has no experience. I'll stop there. So that's Deborah Messing. So, um, you know, um, he was raised in Uganda, apparently, and he moved to New York at the age of 7. And he would be New York City's first Muslim mayor. And so there'd be these two pillars, London and New York, the two most powerful economic cities in the world. The economic engines of the world will be under Islamic control. Wild. Since his primary win Tuesday, he faced an influx of Islamophobic threats on social media. Some, like Laura Loomer, who wrote that because of his win, New York will face another 9/11. Messing's claim that Mamdani, who was 9 years old on September 11th, celebrated 9/11 and sides with terrorists, comes from a rap song he wrote in 2017, in which he praises the Islamic charity Holy Land Foundation. The 5 leaders of the group were convicted in 2009 of providing material support to Hamas, which the U.S. recognizes as a terrorist organization. A number of human rights organizations in 2022 called for a pardon. Okay, whatever. This is from the Huffington Post, which is also communist. Okay. Mamdani has been critical of Israel's government, accusing it of committing genocide in Gaza. I've said at every opportunity, there's no room for anti-Semitism in this city, in this country, Mamdani said. I've said that because it's something I personally believe. Representatives for Messing and Mamdani did not reply to requests for comment. Okay, so anyway, so people are commenting on him. Um, there was a CNN interview with him. Let me see if I could get that, just because um, I want to see how bad CNN is in the tank for this guy. We know how much CNN hates uh, Donald Trump. Um, okay, let's just. You know, as I watch this guy, the way the media is so. Oh, I don't know if you guys saw it. I don't know if you guys were you guys watching it. Um, oh, sorry, guys. I was. You know what? I don't even want to show it to you. I was watching a CNN. I thought that I was showing it here just to show the CNN interview with this guy. And CNN is in love, you guys. CNN is in love. Um, I mean, watch the way this girl interviews him. Look how kind she is. Imagine her talking to Donald Trump like this. Watch.
I'm planning to do.
Okay. So, for people who say that America was built on, and a lot of immigrants, and obviously you speak from an immigrant experience. I mean, you came as a young child, but you speak to a lot of people who came much more recently, that they come to America because they believe in capitalism. They believe that if they work hard and make a lot of money, that that's part of the American dream. Do you think that's not part of the American dream?
I think the dream at its core is a dream for stability in one's life. And what you're saying, that you work hard enough and that you then reap the benefits, too many New Yorkers and Americans for that matter are working 8 hours and then still feeling like they haven't made enough money to keep living in the city they call home. And ultimately, what I'm focused on is making the city affordable for everyone, not to win an ideological argument, but to deliver on the mandate.
So when Mayor Adams, you just heard him come out and he said, soup, silver. Once you do it, it's out there. It never comes back. It's there.
Didn't think it was going to be on CNN.
It's there, and there it is. So what do you say to people who look at your background and they wonder? They say, okay, rising star you may be, but this is the largest city in America, $112 billion budget, 8 million people, and a hell of a lot of problems. And they say, okay, whatever the future may be, you're not ready now.
I would say that a campaign offers a glimpse of what an administration would look like. And we built a campaign the likes of which the city has not seen in a long time. We started with 2 full-time employees and now are managing 50,000 volunteers. At the beginning of this race, there were questions of whether we'd get 50,000 votes. And yet we had
50,000 volunteers.
50,000 volunteers who knocked on 1.5 million doors, made 2.1 million phone calls. And ultimately, it's a story of not only being able to inspire people, but
Inspire people. Inspire people. So, yeah, I don't think he's ever held the job, right? I mean, I'm not sure. You know, I just don't like his views. I think his views leave the door open for anti-Semitism that he says he doesn't, but I think he does. And you know, it's kind of like the situation of the guy in Syria right now. You know, the Jolani, Ahmed Jolani, who's ruling Syria right now. And he trims his beard now, wears a suit, 3-piece suit, and, you know, is all, you know, like, you know, even, I mean, Western leaders are falling all over themselves to go see this guy. And Europe's in love with him, and you know, and he's supposedly reformed, a reformed terrorist, a reformed Al Qaeda leader. You know, that's what he's trying to show that he is, that he's been reformed. He's still Muslim, but he's reformed, and but his followers are not reformed. His followers are not reformed. And what did they do this last week? They blew up a church. They shot up a church in Syria, killed 25 people. Why? Because he may be reformed and he's playing the political game, but his followers aren't. His followers are still radicals. He was Al Qaeda. His followers still are. And so with this guy, I'm not even doubting that he's sincere right now. But his followers are still his followers. And the people who vote for him are still the people who vote for him. And I think he's not going to be able to control that. He's not going to be able to control that. So we need to pray. But the media's in love. Did you see the way she was interviewing him? Did you see her smiling and how in love, how she's so positive? None of the anger she feels towards Republicans. None of that critical cynicism that you feel when she's interviewing a Christian, you know. And that's CNN, of course, but it's the mainstream media, and they're in love, like they were in love with Obama. So they're willing to overlook his affiliations. So, yes, always going to toe-to-toe spirit, but God, amen. That's true. And I do believe, I mean, ultimately it's a spiritual war. It's not a political war, but we do have a responsibility also on the earthly side. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to God what is God's. And part of giving to Caesar what is Caesar's is doing our duty as citizens. And so, I believe that, we need to talk about this. So, anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to say about our friend Mamdani. Okay. And I'm not sure what country he's from originally. Is he Ugandan? I mean, he looks Arab or Syrian or something, so I'm not sure what his nationality is. I know he's born in Uganda, came here and whatever. So, Pakistani, possibly, Zahran. I haven't heard them mention Pakistan. Oh, but he is Shiite. He's a Shiite Muslim, so he's probably maybe Iranian, or I mean, something from that, because the Shiites are pretty much over there in Iran and that area. There's some in Bahrain and stuff like that. So I don't know that there's that many Pakistani Shiites. I think they're mostly Sunnis. So anyway, yeah. Um, People will get what they deserve, and so if they decide to vote for them, they're going to get what they deserve. So, all right. Well, I just kind of had a crazy little idea to talk about why Allah did not preserve the Bible. Now we know that the Quran says He did preserve the Bible. The Quran says He did preserve the Bible. Muhammad said He preserved the Bible. But Muslims don't believe He preserved the Bible. And I remember when I was a Muslim, this isn't a new thing. They've always believed, as far back as I remember. And I'm talking since 1972. That's when I moved to the Middle East. I lived in the Middle East from 72 to 75 when I was a kid. And back then, they were talking about the fact that the Quran has been preserved, but the Bible has not been. Allah did not preserve, the Bible has been corrupted. And so, my question is today, why? Now, speaking to that Muslim mindset, to the Muslims who believe that about Gaza, it's true, Tiger, that there are areas where it is thriving, where things are okay, but there is a tremendous amount of poverty. And so, I mean, I lived there 6 years. I know Gaza. It's always been a terrible, terrible poverty situation. And so, and I know, because I have many friends there, that they're living in tents. It's cold, rainy, is a very bad situation. And so while there are some pockets of prosperity, the majority are in very bad situations. Most of them, they've lost their homes. And so, yeah. And I'm in touch with people there every day. So I know these people. And Muslims tell me that there's so many books. There's so many books, and Allah did not preserve them. Supposedly there's 124,000 prophets, messengers. Supposedly that's what the Quran says as well, or the Hadith, and none of their books have been preserved. None of their books have been preserved. Only the Quran. That's the only one Allah preserved. And so, looking at it from their perspective, I'm asking, why didn't Allah preserve? Why didn't Allah preserve the Bible? Hello, Emmanuel. How are you? God bless you. So why didn't Allah preserve the Bible? I'm trying to think from there, put myself in their shoes, and wonder. Okay, Allah did preserve the Quran, but He did not preserve the books of His first prophets and Moses and Jesus. And why didn't He preserve it? And trying to think at it from their perspective. And I kind of came up with three reasons why Allah didn't preserve the Quran. I mean the Bible. I came up with three crazy reasons why Allah did not preserve the Bible. He did supposedly, according to Muslims, He preserved the Quran. We know the truth about that. We know it's not true. But in their minds, He did preserve the Quran. But He did not preserve the Bible. And I just hope that maybe there's some Muslims here who maybe will think along with us, think about this, just to see that it's very strange. That it is very strange that Allah preserves the Quran, but did not preserve the Bible. It's very strange that all this, and I got three reasons why Allah did not preserve the Bible. Okay. One of them is that he couldn't. He didn't have the power to preserve it. That Allah was not all powerful. And there were people who were able to get somehow to get in and corrupt his words. Because it's very clear from the Quran that the Bible came down from heaven. In Arabic, it says, Nazalna Tawrat wal Injil. We sent down the Gospel and the Torah. So, it's very clear that he is the source of the Bible. It says specifically the Torah, the Injil, and the Zabur. The Zabur being the Psalms. In fact, it even says in the Quran that Allah wrote the Zabur. He wrote it. It doesn't say he wrote the Quran, but it says he wrote the Zabur. And he did not preserve it. Why did he not preserve it? Why did he not preserve the Bible? And one reason is he couldn't. He's not all powerful. He's not all powerful. He was not able to preserve. Thank you, Houston Euler. Okay, Allah. One of Allah's beautiful names is Al-Hafiz, the preserver. You know what? Now that you did that, let me see if I can find something on that real quick. The guarding one, okay? Al-Hafiz, okay? Al-Hafiz, the guarding, the protector, the one who preserves. Wow. Which, okay. Allah Al-Hafiz mentions, okay, appears for a total of 6 times in the Quran. There are different aspects of this name we can explore. Imam Ghazali writes, perpetuating the existence of existing things. Okay. Perfect balance. Okay. I had to, okay. So, thank you for pointing that out, Houston. That, yeah, it's his name. When it's your name, it's supposedly something that you do. It reflects something that you do. Okay. Yahfaz. Yahfaz does mean to memorize, Hafiz, but it also means to ihfaz, to keep, or to preserve. And so, so I come back, to the question, why did he not preserve the Torah and the Zabur and the Injil? And one reason is that he's not able to, even though it's his name, even though he's supposedly all-powerful, he just wasn't able to. He just was not able to preserve it. And even though that goes against the Quran, because the Quran says no one can change his words because he preserves it. But he did not preserve it according to what Muslims believe. Not according to what the Quran says, because the Quran says he did preserve it. But Muslims believe he did not preserve it. So the question becomes, well, why did he not preserve it? Was he not able to preserve it? And Muslims are going to say, oh, it's because of the Pope, and it's because of that, it's because of that, and because of, wicked men and all this stuff. Well, that means it doesn't matter who did it. It means somebody corrupted it, and that means Allah, maybe the reason it wasn't preserved is because Allah was not able to preserve it. Allah was not able to preserve it. Maybe that's the reason why he didn't preserve it, because he's not able. He's not all powerful. He's not all powerful. He wrote it, according to the Quran, Nazalna Tawrat wal Injil. We sent down the Torah and the Injil. And if you want to go with the fancy language, it says we revealed the Torah and the Injil, according to the Quran. Okay, so he revealed it. And with the Zabur, the Psalms, it even says he wrote it. He wrote the Zabur. He revealed the Torah and Injil, and he wrote the Zabur. But he didn't preserve it. And maybe the reason is because he is unable to preserve it. Okay, he's unable to preserve it. Okay, now he's just unable. He couldn't. He's not all powerful. People who wanted to corrupt his word were more powerful than him. And they did change it because he just could not. He was unable. He's not all powerful. People were more powerful than Allah, and they were able to corrupt his words. That's one reason. That's one theory about why. So let me write that one down. Okay, one reason the Bible is corrupted is because Allah was not able to preserve it. He was not able to preserve his word. So he's not all powerful. Okay. Number two reason. Okay. Maybe he didn't preserve it because he didn't want to preserve it. I mean, you really got to, when you really think about it, if he's all powerful, and Muslims think he's all powerful, then why didn't he preserve his word? If he's all powerful, why didn't he preserve his word? And maybe one reason is, number two, he didn't want to preserve it. He didn't want to preserve the word. If he's all powerful and his word was corrupted, that kind of means he wanted it to be corrupted, right? Especially when you look at Islam, where everything that's going to happen is already written in the preserved tablet. Everything that's ever going to happen is already written there. So if it's not preserved, it's because he didn't want to preserve it. Now, I'm not talking about what the Quran says, because the Quran says it is preserved and nobody can change it. I'm talking about what Muslims say. See, there's a difference in Islam. There's what people believe, and then there's what their books say. They don't believe a lot of what's in their books. They don't believe what's in their books. They believe what they hear on TV. They believe what they've learned in the mosque. They believe what their sheikh tells them. They do not believe what's in the Quran, because the Quran says the Bible cannot be changed. The Quran says the Bible was sent by God, and it cannot. There's nobody who can change his word. That's what the Quran says. But Muslims don't believe that. They don't believe the Quran. They believe CNN, or they believe Al Jazeera, or their sheikhs who tell them that the Bible's been corrupted, even though the Quran says it isn't. Okay? And so, why do they believe the Quran's been corrupted? Why? If Allah's all powerful, if it's been corrupted, it's because Allah wants it corrupted. If you're gonna follow your logic, follow that train of thought from the Muslim point of view, why didn't he preserve the Bible? Number one, he wasn't able, which means he's not all powerful. He wasn't able to preserve it, which means he's not all powerful. Number two, as Islam is based on fate, it's a very fatalistic religion. Everything is fatalistic. This happened because it's written. This happened. Allah appoints the amount of adultery you're going to participate in. Allah guides whom he wills, and he misleads whom he wills. So he's involved in everything. And if it's not preserved, it's because Allah did not want to preserve it. And then you got to deal with what the Quran says, which says that he did preserve it and nobody can change it. But that's irrelevant because the Muslims don't believe the Quran. Okay, they believe what they hear in their classrooms because a lot of them don't read and a lot of them don't read the Quran. They believe what they see on TV. You know, a lot of them don't read. What, you know, let me see. Okay, the literacy rate in some countries, in the Arab countries like Iraq, Mauritania, Yemen, have rates of less than 75% illiteracy. Mauritania, Yemen. I mean, and this very high illiteracy rates. And you know, my father was illiterate. He could not read. Okay. And so all he knew about the Quran is what he heard at the mosque. Okay. And so, why did Allah not preserve the Quran? Allah was not able to preserve it. That's, you got to figure out, if he didn't preserve it, he wasn't able to preserve it. And that's usually the excuse Muslims give, because the Pope did it. It's not because Allah wasn't able, it's the Pope did it, or these Christians or these evil people did it. Well, that means he wasn't able to preserve it. Plain and simple. He's not able. He's not all powerful. Okay. Number two, he did not want to preserve it. He did not want to preserve it. Okay. So either he wasn't able to preserve it. Number two, he did not want to preserve it. Okay. He did not want to preserve it. And why would that be the case? Look at how much trouble people get into for misquoting, you know, because I used to be a reporter, and when you're a reporter, you learn about there's what's called slander and libel. There's slander and libel. Slander is spoken. When you slander somebody, you speak. You say something against them that's not true. Okay? You say, you know, this person committed adultery with da. Libel is when you write something that isn't true about somebody. Slander is when you speak something that's not true about somebody. Libel is when you write something that's not true about somebody. So in America especially, we are very, very careful about what we say, because one wrong word can get you sued. One wrong word can get you sued. You can lose. Why? Because your words are so important. They're so powerful. And life and death are in the power of the tongue. I think about George Stephanopoulos was talking about Donald Trump, and he said he was accused of rape. Convicted of rape. He said something like that. And Donald Trump sued them $15 million for a word, one single word. That's how devastating our words are. Now, that's why you got to get the words right. You got to get your words exactly right. Now, Allah God, who is almighty, did not want to protect his words? Because there's only a few rational reasons why Allah did not preserve the Bible. One is he was unable, which means he's not all powerful. Number two, he just didn't want to preserve it. And then you got to figure out, now, why did he not want to? Because he's all powerful, he's able to preserve it. Why didn't he? Because he didn't want to. I mean, it's got to be something like that, right? It's just got to be something like that. He didn't want to preserve it. And then that leads you to, well, what does that say about him? What does it say about him that he did not want to preserve his word? Or worse yet, number 3, because Allah's in control of everything according to Islam, he wanted it corrupted. He wanted the Bible to be corrupted. He sent it. He wrote it. He sent it and he wrote it. But he wanted it to be corrupted. Because isn't he all powerful? Isn't he all powerful? Isn't he all powerful? If his word is not preserved, there really is only a few reasons why it's not preserved. Allah was not able to preserve it. He did not want to preserve it. And you can try to figure out that one. Why didn't he want to preserve it? And number 3, and this is the worst, he wanted it to be corrupt. He wanted it to be corrupted. Okay? He wanted it to be corrupted. Because isn't it his word? Isn't he able? I mean, when you really think about how illogical, it's so illogical to say Allah did not preserve the Bible. It's so illogical to say that. But if you're going to say that, and believe Muslims do say that, and they believe it with all their hearts. But if you think through why, there's only a few reasons why it was corrupted. There's only a few reasons why. And I believe these are the reasons right here. Number 1, he wasn't able to preserve it. Number 2, he didn't want to preserve it, which makes you wonder, wow, what does it say about him if he didn't want to preserve it? He's sending a message to mankind, did all those miracles with Moses and Abraham and everything, and then he didn't want to preserve their words. What does it say about Allah? Number 3, he wanted it corrupted. He wanted it corrupted. And the 4th, and this is my final one, and I think there's more, but I don't think there's that many more. It has to be one of these. It has to be one of these. If there's someone else who's got something else, please come and share it. But it has to be one of these. The other one is that's number 4. Oops, sorry, let me see. That's not it. He didn't think about it. And this one sounds preposterous, you guys, but to tell you the truth, I've talked to Muslims who say, who really, this one is the one that they believe in. And that is that he didn't actually think about preserving it until the Quran. He didn't think about it. It didn't enter his, his mind to preserve his words until the Quran. When it came to the Quran, he said, "Oops, okay, this is what I should have done. I should have preserved the words. I didn't think about it. Shoot." And he just thought about that, which means Allah is not all-knowing. Means Allah is not all-knowing. And there's lots of Muslims who I've heard say this. He says, yeah, he sent down the Bible and look what the Christians did. He sent down the Torah and look what the Jews did. And then finally he came to the Quran. He says, no, I'm not going to allow them to do that anymore. I'm going to start preserving it. So he didn't think about that before. Allah didn't think, oh, I could keep them from changing my words. He didn't think about it until the Quran. Allah didn't think about this until he sent the Quran. He wrote the Zabur, but he didn't think about preserving it. He didn't get the idea of preserving until the Quran came down. What does that say about Allah? See, all of these tell you very unpleasant things about Allah. But I don't think I can't think of any other, if you follow that logic that our book has been corrupted, if you follow that logic, you have to fall into one of these categories. I can't think of anything else. Maybe there's something that I don't know. Maybe there's another, but I'm pretty sure that I've covered everything here. Number 4, he didn't think about preserving his words until the Quran. It's like it didn't enter his mind to preserve his words until the Quran. Really? Really? Give me a break. Another. I know I'm showing it to you again and again and again, you guys, but he wanted it corrupted. He wanted it corrupted because he's in control of everything. If it's corrupted, it's because he wanted it corrupted. He wanted it to get corrupted. And now I'm thinking from the Muslim point of view, okay? I'm thinking of it as they would think about it. If they really followed through on their belief, why Allah didn't preserve the Bible? Because he didn't want to. He wanted it corrupted. He wanted it corrupted. Number 2, if it's corrupted, okay, sorry, it's because he didn't want to preserve it. He really didn't want to preserve his words. He wanted his words to be misinterpreted. He wanted his words to be misunderstood. He didn't want to preserve it. Which leads you to think he doesn't really care about his words. His words don't mean nothing to him. Whereas in the Bible says, you have exalted your word above your name. You've exalted your word above your name. That's how important God's word is to him. But in the Quran, it's not that important because he didn't even think to preserve it. He sent it down and didn't even think to preserve it. He didn't want to preserve it. Or he wanted it corrupted. Which means his word doesn't mean that much to him. It's not as important as his name is. In the Bible, it's more. The Bible says you've exalted your word above your name. But not in the Quran. Allah's word doesn't matter to him that much. because he wrote it. He wrote the Zabur, but he didn't preserve it. If he didn't preserve it, it's because he didn't want to preserve it. And number one, he wasn't able to preserve it. So he wasn't able to preserve it. He didn't want to preserve it. I know you guys know this, but I want to. Oops. He was unable to preserve it. He didn't want to preserve it. He wanted it corrupted, which makes you wonder, was he wanting to deceive people? Was he wanting people to be deceived by his words? Did he want people to be deceived? And number four, he didn't think about preserving it. It just didn't occur to him to preserve it until the Quran. He said, "Oops, I got an idea. Let's start preserving my word. Let's start preserving my word now." He didn't think about it before. So those are four possible reasons why Allah did not preserve the Quran. So if you have other theories, other ideas, but to tell the truth, I think I've covered it completely. And if there's a fifth, please let me know. How can they trust? Okay, I'm going to write all these down here, you guys. Okay, he was unable to preserve it. 2, he didn't want to preserve it. 3, he wanted it corrupted. And 4, he didn't think about preservation until the Quran. It just kind of didn't occur to him to preserve the word. So anyway, if you guys got a fifth or sixth or seventh or eighth or 10th reason, let us know. And we will see. What I'd like to know is why they traveled the world to locate and change every last manuscript the opposite of what they originally said. Why didn't they just write? What's interesting about what you're saying there, Marion, is that there is a Muslim scholar, very highly regarded Muslim scholar, who points out exactly what you're saying, and that's Fakhruddin Razi. Razi, super highly regarded scholar. And you know what he said? He said this belief of the Muslims that the Bible isn't preserved is outrageous. It's ridiculous. And he said, you guys, once a book has been widely distributed, it's impossible to corrupt it. Once it's been widely distributed, it's impossible to corrupt it. Let me just see something. 6. Okay, this right here is like a map. This right here is like a map of the countries that had accepted Christianity by 600 AD, about the time of Muhammad. These are the countries that had accepted Christianity already. You have England, you got Spain, you got France, you got parts of Central Europe, you got Italy, you got Turkey, you got Asia Minor, you got into Assyria, you got Egypt, you got Ethiopia. Now, these are just the countries that are actually Christian. But Christianity had spread all the way to India, to China, and to where they had Bibles. They had Bibles by then. They had Bibles, and to where, if you're going to corrupt, here's another map. Here's another map. If you're going to corrupt, you have to go to the house of every single person who has a Bible in all of these countries. And there were more than just these countries, but all of these countries. Go to every single church, every single home, and in order to corrupt the Bible and get everybody to agree to the corruptions. And not only that, you guys, not only do you have to do that, and Razi is the one who says this. He says, not only do you got to do that, you got to get the Christians and the Jews to agree to the corruptions because the Christians believe in the Jewish scriptures. So the Jews have to agree to, because we're talking about the Torah and the Zabur is with the Jews and the Christians. So if you're going to corrupt those, then you have to get the Christians and the Jews to agree to do these corruptions. So you got to go everywhere the Jews are, everywhere the Christians are, every place, every book, every home, and change every single. Now, they didn't have Bibles like we do today. Not everybody had a Bible like we do today, but a lot of them did. Remember when Paul was in prison? He told Timothy, make sure and bring me the scrolls and the parchments. So even then they had scriptures, books, codices, and by the year 300 there was a complete Bible, Old New Testament like we have it today. The Alexandrite, Sinai Alexandrite. I'm not sure exactly how to say it, but so that's 300 years before Muhammad. So you have to go to every single church, every single country, every single monastery, every single nunnery, everything. So this is what Al-Razi said. He's a Muslim. He says it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to think you could do this. He says in fact, he says it's impossible. It's impossible to corrupt a book once it's been widely distributed. So, anyway, so that's so that's kind of like see, till the Protestants brought Christianity to America because they were being slaughtered by both, and how much easier it would have been to write brand new books instead of lie. Exactly. Instead of going and changing all those billions of books, just write a new one, Well, that's what Muhammad did. Muhammad wrote the new one. So all right, you guys. So anyway, we made it to an hour. Wow. Okay, so remember the 4, if you're going to follow the Muslim common belief that the Bible's been corrupted, there could only be 4 reasons why Allah didn't preserve the Bible. Number 1, he was unable to preserve it. Number 2, he didn't want to preserve it. Number 3, he wanted to corrupt it. Number 4, he didn't actually think about it. He just, when he wrote the Quran, when he sent the Quran, he started thinking, oh, let's start preserving our words. It just didn't occur to him to preserve it before then. If there's any Muslim who wants to come up and explain, let me put an invite. This invite is for Muslims, okay? If there's a Muslim here who would like to come and help us understand, the Jews would have to cooperate with the Christians to accomplish this. I mean, there's no, Razi is the one who said that. He says, and there's no way you're going to get the Jews and the Christians, there's no way you're going to get the Jews to agree with the Christians. And the Jews and the Christians come together and say, okay, let's change this word in Psalm 23. Let's change this word, okay. No way. They already thought, the Jews thought Christians were heretics. And the Christians thought Jews were heretics. And so there's no way they're going to agree to corrupt the book together. So, corruption of the book. Thank you, Andrew Martin. Appreciate that. And of course, you guys, this is the belief. And is it a problem? Absolutely is a problem, because every single Muslim in the universe believes this. Okay, maybe there's 10 or 20 that don't, but almost every single Muslim in the universe believes this. So it is a problem. And so we need to try to figure out how to talk to them. I really like, like what a lot of the guys are doing, this Islamic dilemma thing. And the Islamic dilemma thing is essentially saying that, you know what? The Quran persistently shows that the Bible is incorruptible. And yet, and that the Quran affirms it. And yet it contradicts the Bible. So that's the Islamic dilemma. So, all right, you guys. Well, doesn't look like we have any Muslims. Yep, yeah. So, by the way, we got a new refrigerator, so you guys should be very excited to know that. So, all right, you guys, thank you for being with us. And if you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Yesur, sa'idni. Yesur, samihni. Yesur, udkhul qalbi. We love you, but much more importantly, he loves you. Have a great night.
If you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth. This happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to have to repeat that.
That the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.